Throughout history, women have experienced unspeakable brutality and cruelty, ranging from being burned at the stake to having devices inserted into their bodies. History maintained more rigid rules than we can recognize today for women's behavior and roles. A step out of line could result in a severe penalty meant to serve as a reminder of women's place in society. What are the unfathomable punishments that women have suffered from antiquity to now? Today, we are going to examine the heinous injustice suffered by women. Have you ever heard of a tool called a Spanish donkey? The Spanish donkey was a tool of the most cruel and unusual kind and was used specifically against women during the Inquisition. Although the device seemed more like a dangerous cocktail or a funfair ride, it was nothing of the sort. Its simple design was a horrifying application of physics to the human body. The Spanish donkey was essentially a triangle prism made of wood that was lifted off the ground and had its sharpest edge facing upward. The victim would be compelled to cross the upright sharpest edge. They frequently had weights linked to their feet to intensify the punishment. It goes without saying that the victim's genitalia would be damaged, at the very least receiving a broken tailbone. At worst, the Spanish monkey is said to be capable of splitting a victim in half, depending on how much weight is connected to the victim's feet and how heavy the victim is. The Spanish donkey was indeed terrifying, and it was enough to keep women awake at night. But wait till you hear about the next torture device. When we talk about today's punishment standards, we may suggest that a simple scolding is sufficient. The scold's bridle, also known as the witch's bridle, was a device that was secured to a woman's head and inserted a metal bit into her mouth. This was to quiet her and humiliate her by preventing her from speaking or making noise. The bridle was an iron frame around the skull, with an iron muzzle that served as both a means of torture and a means of public humiliation. The imagery and purpose were crystal clear: to prevent women from speaking. It is considered to be among the worst forms of torture. Women who were branded as nags or gossips were subjected to punishment with the scold's bridle. Less charmingly, it was often applied to women at the request of their spouses and families. Archaeologists have uncovered the Pear of Pain, which is currently displayed in numerous museums throughout Europe. The device breast ripper was exactly as brutal and inhuman as the name sounds, but why used as a tool of terror against women? The breast ripper was a device to punish women who were suspected of adultery, abortion, or any other immoral crime. Through it, their breasts were cut off from the body. As the name suggests, the claw-like tool was heated before being used to take off or shred a woman's breasts. The spider was a variant, attached to a wall instead of being clamped to a woman's breast by a torturer. Even if they had lived, they would have died without breasts and been humiliated by society. Europeans were known for torturing women with iron tongs that had claws on the ends. Amazingly, archaeologists and historians have discovered a lost copy of the breast ripper. Well, that's an antique find that no one was happy about. Can you imagine a worse form of torture than the pear of anguish? The pear of anguish, also known as the choke pear or mouth pear, caused its victims to experience excruciating physical pain and sexual exploitation. The device was used to punish pregnant women who committed miscarriages. The machine's cranes were progressively opened after being inserted into a woman's vagina in order to cut her genitalia and internal organs. Witches and homosexuals were also punished by the machine. Every woman who was punished by this device would die. The pear is a genuinely cunning concept. It fulfills the extra element that our minds search for when it comes to the grotesque, and it adds a sexual violation to the physical anguish of torture. Fortunately, it doesn't seem to have really existed, except in our minds. Ever hear of the Chinese beauty standard of tiny feet? Well, it came at a price. For a millennium, foot binding was practiced in China, a beautification practice that rendered young girls permanently crippled. It was considered beautiful for Chinese women to have small, delicate feet. Hence, wealthy Chinese families would bind their daughters' feet to attract worthy men. The golden lotus or optimum foot length was only 3 inches long. A silver lotus was 4 inches long. Anything longer was regarded as an iron lotus and was not deemed a suitable foot length. Girls were punished for the sake of beauty. Isn't that disturbing? Any civilization cannot advance unless it accords women equal status and eradicates discrimination, resentment, and retaliation. Despite the gendered face of torture throughout history, women still exist, and today they are still fighting for their independence. History may not conclusively demonstrate that it's a man's world, but it surely demonstrates that it has been a brutal one for women. Feel free to comment below with your thoughts on this.